All right, Slinger Racetrack. Just real quick question. Give us a background of the Slinger Racetrack and the people and the history of the Slinger Racetrack.
Oh boy, Slinger Speedway's been around since the late 40s, and in the last, since 1974, it's been asphalt. Before that, it was a dirt track, and it was actually built for local racers that they wanted to practice. And the practice turned into more guys coming out, and the next thing you know, they had enough guys coming over here that they started a racetrack.
Okay.
And
Go ahead. Nope.
and it went on as a dirt track very successfully through the 50s, 60s, and in the early 70s it was decided to make it an asphalt track. And in 1974 that was completed. And the same types of cars raced the first year, and they started transitioning into more asphalt type cars in 75.
Okay.
In 1976, it was purchased by Wayne Erickson, who still currently owns the facility. Myself, Todd Thielen, and Rodney Erickson are partners in running the business. We lease the property right now. Wayne still owns it.
Okay.
So it survived through a lot of good and bad times through the economies, oil embargo of the 70s, and high interest rates that are unheard of these days. Through the 80s, early 80s, interest rates were in the teens and 20s, and through all the ups and downs through the economy, the racetrack has survived. And one of the reasons that it's so successful is because of what it is. And it is the world's fastest quarter-mile asphalt track. It's banked very similar to Daytona Speedway, but Daytona is 2.5 miles. This is a quarter mile.
Yep.
So it's very fast, very unique. There's nothing like it in the country. And we like to say it's the Lambeau Field of short track racing, and it's right here in Slinger Speedway.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool that way, and that's part of why it survived, is because of what it is, and it had a good man leading it through the years, and kept the business lean when it needed to be, and spent money when he needed to spend money.
Okay.
He started, Wayne Erickson started in the 80s, bringing guys like Dale Earnhardt Sr. and really well-known racers from throughout the country to what is known as the Slinger Nationals, which is still a race over there. It's been a breeding ground for NASCAR champions. Alan Kulwicki started racing over at Slinger Speedway in the 70s and migrated down south in the 80s. He was 1992 NASCAR champion. Matt Kenseth started racing at Slinger in the early 90s, and he became NASCAR champion. His crew chief, Robbie Reiser, also cut his teeth over at Slinger Speedway through the 80s and early 90s and moved down south and he raced and became a car owner, and now he's second in command at Roush Fenway Racing, which is, it's one of the premier teams down south. So there's been all kinds of, that's just a couple of the guys that have come through Slinger Speedway. And we still get Matt Kenseth to come back. He raced last year, he finished second at the Slinger Nationals. Kyle Busch won the Slinger Nationals, I believe, 3 years ago.
Okay.
It's really the who's who of short track racing. We're working on bringing Chase Elliott up this year, and these guys want to come race, and they don't come just to show up and sign autographs. They come and they want to win, and they race against the locals, which are some of the best in the country.
Okay. Define some economic strength and weaknesses of the Slinger Racetrack being in Slinger. Like, why Slinger? Why not a bigger city or something like that? What are some weaknesses and strengths of that?
Well, why Slinger? Well, I hit on that already a little bit. It just happened to be one of those things that basically, like back in the day, this was a farm field over here, and they started racing. Well, it became successful through the years, so that answers the why. Why is it here? Because that's what they chose, and happened to be here in Slinger. the second part of the question.
The strength and weaknesses.
So the strengths of being in Slinger is it's a small community, and it's been accepted. It's been here for so long. Very few people really people embrace it more than they have a hard time with the noise, because that is a big deal. Race cars make noise, and we try to be good neighbors as much as we can. So the strength of being a racetrack and with the world's fastest is also one of the weaknesses, because the neighbors do complain a little bit. People move in that haven't lived here before, and they all of a sudden they hear the noise and they're like, "What is the noise?" And it's like, "Well, that's Slinger Speedway," and most of them are pretty good.
Okay. Identify some of the important economic factors of the local economy. Like, what are some really big things that happen at the Slinger Speedway that, like, something that's important, I guess, at the Slinger, that the community does that affect the racetrack? Sorry.
What does the community do that impacts the racetrack?
Or that helps out? Do they do anything, or is there anything that the racetrack does to help impact the community big?
I would say that way. The biggest thing that the racetrack does, it puts Slinger Speedway on the map. With Little Switzerland Ski Hill, it puts the community on the map.
Okay.
I mean, you can get on an airplane and go west coast, east coast, south, north, and if you hear a race fan next to you in the seat, you talk Slinger Speedway, they know, they've heard of it.
Okay.
So this is Slinger USA. They think of either the ski hill or the racetrack. So it impacts the community that way. It's a good tax base revenue. The revenue stream into the village of Slinger is important to the community. We impact local businesses. Slinger Slam Fest will have about 10,000 people for one event, and so the local businesses, whether they're selling sub sandwiches or dinner, what have you, or selling gas, it affects the local community that way. Every single Sunday night, plus the bigger events that we have.
Okay. What are the long-range goals of the racetrack, and like the economic needs of the racetrack? Do you need this community to grow, or do you want it to stay the same, or like, what do you see the long-range goals of the racetrack going and being?
Well, the long-range goals, especially after the last 5 to 10 years, is to maintain and grow, because short track racing as an industry had struggled through the 2000s. Slinger Speedway does better than most, and I think that's part of where we are. Slinger being close to big communities like West Bend, Germantown, and Metro Milwaukee area, so we have a lot to draw off of.
Okay.
But our numbers have even been down, and that has a lot to do with the economy in general. When disposable income is down, that affects our business just like it affects a bowling alley or a movie theater or any entertainment value. We are looking for, I shouldn't say looking for, our customers we're entertainment industry, and they're spending their disposable income. So when gas prices are high, when energy prices are high in general, when it costs more to heat your home or to do any of those things, pay for electric bills, for air conditioning in the summer, whenever those things spike, it takes money out of the consumer's pocket, and they do less extracurricular activities like going to the speed.
Okay. Last question. Where would you like to see the economy of Slinger or the community of Slinger be in 5 to 10 or even 20 years? Would you like to see a large grocery store? Would you like, what do you think would help the Slinger racetrack? Or what needs to come in to help the Slinger racetrack in the community?
Well, I think there's two things, and one of them is renovating businesses like Little Switzerland, which was pretty much defunct. And this is, in the wintertime now, is a huge draw for the community of Slinger. So renovating and taking care of the old buildings that are here and turning them into viable, profitable businesses, and bringing in new businesses, and not necessarily big box stores, but growing the community and bringing jobs into the community that are right next door here.
Okay.
Did that answer the question yet?
Yeah, very well. Last question. I apologize. This is the last question. I promise.
No, that's not, no problem.
What are the unique strengths of our community? I know you've kind of answered this question with the racetrack at Little Switz, it being a small community, really on the map. Like, I mean, people, when you say Slinger, Wisconsin, oh, Slinger Racetrack's there. Besides any of that, what unique to build on for the economic development, like, besides the racetrack itself and Little Switz? Like, is there anything else that you could think of, or?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is there's two easy on, easy off exits and entrances right off a main highway. You know, a lot of people don't even realize if they come from the west, like Hartford, how close the highway is right to the racetrack. The cell towers up here, the highway is literally right next to it. It goes right behind the ski hill here, and that is really an asset to the community because people will, if the big box stores do come, or like the Speedway or the ski hill that's here, the businesses that are here, it's easy for people to get to. And then if you're looking to raise a family and you're thinking about, well, I got to work in Milwaukee, and well, it's easy to get on the highway and drive down to Milwaukee. It's close. It's real close to everything.
Quiet community, easy commute to a big community.
Yeah, it's quiet, homegrown, pleasant. There's 100 different good reasons to raise a family here and start a business.
Okay. Start a business and raise family. All right, that's it. All right. Thanks for taking time out of your day. Just give us a little background of where Forester Signs came from, how it came about, any big companies you've done. Just give us some background and some history of Forester Signs.
Well, I started the business in 1984
Okay.
as a one-man sign shop, and what I did back then is hand paint all the lettering on vehicles and signs, which really has turned into a whole different type of business now because everything's digital and computerized.
Okay.
The most of my clients are other businesses, anybody that would require any kind of advertising on their vehicles or places of business, whoever would need a sign. We're a service organization basically,
Okay.
and we cater to other businesses.
All right. Help other businesses. Okay. What are some economic strengths and weaknesses with being in the Slinger community? Like, it's not really a big community. What are some strengths and weaknesses of that for your business?
Well, the obvious weakness is the population density and the lack of, well, I shouldn't say lack of right now, but at the beginning was the lack of business opportunities here. The area's grown quite a bit since 1984, and along with that's come businesses in other communities, not so much Slinger, but that would be one of the weaknesses, just that there's not a lot to pick from in that kind of a slim market. But the strengths are the relationships you build with people in the community, and once you build that trust and relationship, they tend to give you business and support your business, and that's probably the
biggest one, the
biggest
strength and
advantage to being in a small town is
the
the
friendliness?
community.
Okay. Identifying the important and economic factors behind the economy. You kind of did that already. What are some long-range goals and economic needs that are reasonable and sustainable for the community? Like, where would you like to see your business going in the future and the community go in the future? We could just go with what are the long-range goals of your business?
Well, my business has been built up through word-of-mouth advertising and referrals. That means that everybody I do work for either gives me a good or bad grade, and they pass on my name to their friends and associates and other people that might need my services.
Okay.
That's taken 30 years to develop, and we've got a long history of happy customers. We've had our failures in the past, but every business does.
Okay.
And where it's going, if I'm going to stay here, it's probably going to maintain the same progression. We're going to keep on building on our customer base and trying to get reliable and satisfied customers in. I'm looking forward to retiring someday, so my long-term goal is to just keep things going here.
Keep things going.
Mm-hmm.
If you know off the top of your head, you don't have to give us some around in the ballpark. How many businesses do you do about a year? Or vehicles, anything. How many businesses about a year?
Well, I don't have a number, but what we do is usually every job that we do is a custom job because the customer comes in and wants their own individual identity. So we don't mass produce anything. We don't do a lot of multiples and a lot of large quantity printing. Okay. So each customer that comes to us has an individual need.
Okay. So you're very selective and very helpful in that situation.
Right. It's not that we want to be, but that's just the way it is. If you're a roofing contractor and you want your truck lettered, chances are that truck's going to stay with you until it's no longer needed or you buy a new one. Okay. 5, 6, 8 years. If you have a trucking company where you have 10, 20, or 30 vehicles, you rotate those vehicles more often. And if you have a pet store and you need a sign out in front, you're probably going to buy one sign to begin with and some smaller signs in the life of your business. So that's the kind of customer we have. We do a lot of fleets right now, which means we do a lot of trucking companies and businesses that have a lot of vehicles, contractors, general contractors, all kinds of tradesmen. So those people keep us busy with that sort of thing. And a while back when building was in its boom, we did a lot of signs for general contractors and for house builders and plumbers and all that sort of thing.
Okay. Do you have any recommendations for further economic actions to help benefit the community?
My actions on my part?
What are some recommendations for, say, the community board or
what would
anything
Slinger
like
need,
that?
you mean?
Yeah. Recommendations for your part and the community. Anything to help benefit the community, whether it's on your end or the community itself and the board or something.
Well, the village board is, they can't really do a lot for economic development other than provide a space for that development to grow.
Okay.
Lacking that, the only other thing they can do is make Slinger a good place to come to for either services, infrastructure, obviously schooling and housing.
Okay.
Those are the things that the village can do. There's even Washington County, there's not a lot that the county can do that can improve the business situation other than provide a place for those independent businesses to grow and flourish.
Okay. Make a projection on how the community will be in 5, 10 to 20 years. I know you will hopefully be retiring soon, if that's in your plans. And where would you like to see the community be in that time, in short term or long term, or what needs to come to this community? Large stores, what do you think?
Well, I don't have any specific answer for that. All I can tell you is that there's a need for more business infrastructure, or business in this community, and putting in the infrastructure to help that along is the most important thing we can do. As long as this village keeps growing at a rate that's sustainable, that's kind of an arbitrary thought, but I think that's the best they can do, and that's what they should do. Okay. A lot of communities overreach and overextend, and they pay the price afterwards. The taxpayer does. Okay. So,
do you think the community will continue to grow and at this rate it has been? It's the fastest growing community in the Washington County right now.
Is it the or is it one of the?
I think it is the community, the fastest. I think that's what Russell Brand said in that thing. And it is, so if it's the fastest growing community, do you think it will be able to maintain that with such great school districts and things like that? Do you think it will be able to maintain that in the long term?
I think when you say fastest growing community, I think that falls more into the residential growth sector than it does the business growth.
Okay.
I can't be sure, but I'm guessing that's the case.
Yeah, it's one of the cases.
Right, and the school system is always expanding, I know that, and there's more students coming in. I think in the near future that's going to change because families are not what they used to be, and I think people are having fewer kids. I mean, maybe not in my lifetime, but
Okay.
in yours, you'll see a smaller enrollment in the schools. And if people can plan for that, all the better for them. But that's really just a guessing game right now.
Okay. One of the last questions here. What's unique to our community that some of the other communities may not have, that have helped your company or that helped the community grow in your eyes?
I'm trying to think of something that's unique compared to the other communities. Our location is unique because we're very close to US 41, which is a high traffic area.
School districts?
Well, the school district's always been unique because it's been highly touted ever since I moved out here. And it's been considered one of the best in the area, if not the state. So that draws in, like I said before, a lot of residential development, and people want their kids to go to school here. Whether that's unique or not, I would guess it is to a point.
Okay. Do you got anything else? I don't
Is that the
know.
last one?
Yeah, I don't really know what else to ask. I think that's good.
That's good.
All right. Yeah,
That's
that's
it?
it. Yeah, I can't.
Did I pass?